about these downs. I'm not sure that there were more than 4 downs run, so they may have run 5 downs.
Instead of the game being over, it appears that the Redskins get the 5th down.
And the cat is elusive. He's walking. He's walking to the 3. He's at the 2. Field, and the cat runs into the end zone. That is a touchdown.
Snap, placement, kicked by Hartley, and it is good! It's good! It's good! Pigs have flown. Hell is frozen over. The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl.
Welcome, everyone, to
All right, everyone.
Fifth Down Show.
Captain. All right, guys. It's been about a week since we been on last. A week from the draft.
Game 6, Thursday, yeah.
So here we are at you again. I'm just gonna give you a quick recap of what happened in the draft and a few things that took place in the NFL in this past week, including a hometown boy coming home to finish out his career, hopefully. And so, who was the star of the draft, man? Let's do this.
I mean, you got to give some of these teams credit. The Ravens did a great job with all their picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chicago had a strong draft. The Bengals filled the needs they needed on defense, to try to get back to the Super Bowl. I mean, Denver did well. I think overall, like you said, just saying earlier before we got a phone, like the Chiefs reloaded.
The Chiefs Jets, have a lot of work to do, though. That's the catch with them.
The Jets they had a great draft. Like probably out of everyone that I've listened to, the Jets basically had the best draft.
Yeah. No, they've done. Yeah, they really got after what they really needed. They got in there and they did the right thing. They made moves, getting multiple picks and things like that. So,
mm-hmm.
I mean, they took advantage of the whole draft. Now, as we sit here and we talk about the draft tonight, recapping it a week after it took place, it's one of those things to where it's hard to be excited. Like, you want to be excited for the Jets, right? So they got the A on the draft, which is not something we normally see when it comes to the Jets. But you really don't know anything about this draft until we're 3 seasons down the road at this point, right?
At least 2, but yeah. I mean, look, they go for a Sauce Gardner cornerback at number 4 overall. Okay, they get Garrett Wilson, number 10 overall at Ohio State. I think he was the first receiver taken. Then they get an edge rusher, a great running back in Breece Hall, right? Another tight end.
Talking. I mean, when you're looking at the Jets, I mean, the reason they're ranked so high, I mean, when it comes down to it, is basically that they had essentially 4 first-round picks, right? I mean, even number 36 still falls in that level to where 1 or 2 different picks. Bill Belichick drafts the guy he drafts who should have been in the 3rd round, drafts in the 1st round. So this guy falls out into the 2nd round by no fault of his own. It's just so they were essentially able to get 4 first-round picks out of this.
Yeah, and props to the Jets, man. They're making the moves. They're trying to get it done. I think they had an interesting draft, but you hit on something else, right? The Patriots, right?
Yeah. But the Patriots never draft well. Like, people always talk about the Patriots' longevity and how they do what they do, and it has absolutely nothing to do with their ability to draft.
No, what they do with the draft is they stockpile draft picks, and they just as many bites of the apple as possible. Belichick does all his damage in free agency.
It almost feels like they throw a bunch of shit against the wall and to see what sticks.
Yes.
And that's basically what you get at when you're looking at a Patriots draft, right? Cole Strange. I mean, this guy, number 29 overall, wasn't projected to go to like the third round by a lot of your major guys, but
I think a couple of
Belichick,
these cats were like 1 or 2 round reaches.
Bill Belichick sees something in him, maybe he might not be first year starter, but Bill Belichick sees something and they do on. And who are we to question Bill Belichick at this point, right?
Guy has what, 7 Super Bowls?
Yeah, I mean, more than you and I combined.
Well, anybody has more Super Bowls than you and I combined. Anyone who has 1,
Not anyone who played for the Falcons.
Oh, that's a perfect segue. That is a perfect segue. All right, this is alphabetical, so here are the Atlanta
we could talk about
Falcons.
Atlanta real quick.
Yeah,
they actually had a pretty decent draft, like when it comes down to it. They got a wide receiver for Marcus Mariota to throw to. They got an edge rusher, linebacker, and then they finally got a quarterback, Desmond Ridder, in the 4th round. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's 4th round.
4th round.
But you're still with Marcus Mariota at this point.
Yeah, like that's in the beginning of the 3rd is when they took Ridder, 74 overall. So
okay, yeah. So 3rd round, but you're still going to be playing Marcus Mariota. You're not. Desmond Ridder is not starting this year, right?
But look, they pick up an edge rusher in D'Angelo Malone. They got a running back, a guard, and another tight end. So, what they did with the picks they had, you can't say they had a great draft, but not a bad one. They had a really good second day, So, and I mean, looking at their picks, it's just you got an edge rusher, a linebacker, an edge rusher, and a quarterback. So the Falcons' defense is where they needed help, and they needed to beef up this year.
Yeah, but they need a receiver also. I mean,
yeah, but they're going to get Russell Gage back next year, so.
Yeah, but we're talking about this year. That's not Gage. That was Ridley.
That was Ridley. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean it is what it is, right? So they are not drafting for contendership at this moment in time. They're just drafting to make it to the next season.
I think Atlanta. To me, Atlanta is one of the teams that had the worst offseason. Just because of all the way things didn't fall for them. They went in all out on Deshaun. They miss out on Deshaun Watson. They lose Matt Ryan.
Yeah. Lost Calvin Ridley for the year due to stupid gambling because he couldn't use a burner phone. It's just
or just give money to his baby mama or girlfriend or wife or to bet for him. Whatever.
Me, but I mean,
you actually would have done pretty well. You've been hitting those parlays pretty good, buddy.
Yeah, I caught a few, but I mean, the Falcons are going to be the Falcons. So what can you say about it, right? We can't get excited over it. It's the Falcons.
Nope. Arizona also had a decent draft.
This is a team who they did a pretty decent draft, but they did way better in the trading again.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So didn't they
look? So they
didn't they land Hollywood Brown?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Who? Kyler Murray. Another reunion, a college receiver, quarterback reunion. But I mean, look at this draft, right? They come out and between 1 and 2, 256, 257, they're filling a lot of needs the team has. They're reloading. So I think they had a pretty good draft. And then they traded out.
They did
last year for Ertz. So they still have Ertz who's floating around there. And I think that this year you're going to see a better team that's probably going to be able to be a little bit more competitive. And I mean, look, Kyler Murray, the jury's still out on him, but the dude's got the talent to get you there. The question is, can they put all the pieces in place to protect him and give him the time he needs?
Yeah, I mean, it seems a little diva-ish to me, but I mean, it is what it is. I feel like you have
Baltimore-
to make it before you can get there.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, look,
with
Baltimore,
the,
this
with
is
the trade
another-
of Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, getting to Baltimore. Look, I mean, okay, hold on. They traded him so they got Rashad Bateman out of it, but with a 6th rounder, okay. Look, I think what are they saying about Kohler? Yeah, they're saying Charlie Kohler is very similar to Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
so
he's another Mark Andrews.
That team with 2 Mark Andrews is very scary.
But I mean, once again, you have to be able to do something with it. So,
well, look, they started off by addressing the backfield with Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. Okay, you get a young center out of Iowa in Kyle Lindemann. You got an edge rusher from Michigan in David Ojabo, and look, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, cornerback, 2 tight ends. You know, they drafted a punter.
Yeah, I almost feel like at the end of their draft, they were just like getting the best guy available, right? At 128,
yeah. I mean,
119, 128, 130, 139, 141. You know, you were just like, okay, who's that guy? Yeah, just grab him. You know, pick him. You know, we could always see about a punter. We could always see about this.
They had a obscene amount of picks.
Okay, I really don't want to go through this team by team right now.
I don't think that's we need to.
It's going to take us forever. I mean, Carolina had a pretty decent draft, it looks like, right? And I mean,
they had a decent draft.
Let's look at the NFC South as our major looks right now. So, yeah, this is another team right here with no quarterback right now. They're still in talks for a trade for Baker Mayfield.
They did draft Matt Corral at 94 overall.
Once again, but Matt Corral is not going to be a starting quarterback this year.
That is true. I mean,
did you
it's
mean to click this?
What?
What is this? It's me.
What are you talking about?
All right. I don't know. I had something going on in my headphones. I got rid of it. All right.
No, that was definitely you.
Okay. I got rid of it. Sorry about that, guys. If you could hear it. Anyway, I mean, you know, I think they got a grade for the quality of the player they got, but did they get the players that's necessary for them to be able to win? And the NFC South is going to be a competitive division, no matter what, right? With Tom Brady there, you know, we're fans of the Saints. You know, as you can tell, we talk about them all the time. Vegas doesn't have very high hopes in the Saints, but I feel that the Saints are going to be a competitor this year. Vegas has them at the over and under at 7 wins for the season. I mean, I don't see how they can't win more than that. But this is going to be one of the more competitive divisions of football. The only other division, you know, NFC West obviously going to be another competitive division, and the AFC West is going to be the most competitive this year. You know, looking at that, you pass by Chicago. You know, they did pretty decent in the draft. But once again, these are not something that you'll know about until we're 2, possibly 3 years down the draft line. Sorry, I have a dog coughing a lung up here.
All right, so Tampa. So
they just keep reloading.
The pick I like here is Rachaad White. I was listening to the Yahoo Fantasy podcast, and they're like, this dude could immediately go if Leonard Fournette were to go down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes a great selection for them. Look, they shore up their defensive and offensive line, right?
Right.
Logan Hall's a big pull for them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go offensive line because you got to keep Brady upright.
Yep, and they went punter, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he gets a lot of action this year.
And look, here's Andre Anthony just chilling right here, almost Mr. Irrelevant.
Almost. But you don't know what's going to happen because Marcus Colston was a Mr. Irrelevant. And look what he
Yeah.
did. But, all right, let's get to the Saints. You passed them up. LMS.
It's alphabetical. It's alphabetical.
One more.
No, it's in. This is New Orleans Saints.
Oh, okay. All right. So get to N.
Oh, the football Giants got an A. Oh. All right. Nobody likes the Saints draft.
No.
Mostly because we had a pre-draft trade where we gave picks away to move up 2 spots twice, whatever, to switch
move
picks
up
with
2
the
spots,
Eagles.
yeah.
To switch picks with the Eagles. Then on draft day, we give up more picks to move up from 16 to 11.
Right, to get Chris Olave. Now, the thing about it is I see what the Saints were doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They knew the guys they needed. They knew the guys they wanted. They had them drafted on the board. And if you paid attention to the first round of the draft, as soon as the Saints traded up to 11 and drafted Chris Olave, there was a huge run on receivers, right? So the reason they made this move to move up 5 spots to grab him is because he was not going to be available at 16, right? He was going to be well off the board, well gone. And this was the guy that they've been talking about that they were going to go after.
Yeah, and I mean, look, this is what happened. At pick 8, Drake London went to the Falcons. At pick 10, Garrett Wilson went to the Jets. We moved up for Olave because we knew he was probably going to be a receiver run. And then Jamison Williams out of Alabama went to Detroit.
Then it was like receiver.
Let's see, it was defensive tackle, safety, receiver. Yeah, so I mean, all your top guys, Treylon Brooks went to Tennessee. Jawan Dotson went to the Commanders.
Ugh. But I mean, what
I still hate it.
You know, they're giving the Saints crap for the guys they went to, right? And even, you know, Trevor Pennick, probably one of the higher graded offensive tackles in the draft. The issue is he's from a small school. So can he convert into an NFL caliber player?
I mean, he's got the size, he's got the speed.
I mean, the same thing can be said for he just left. The offensive tackle that Trevor Pennick is replacing. I cannot think of his name right now. Yeah, same can be said for Teron Armstead. He came from another small school. I think it was like Arkansas Pine Bluff or something like that.
Something like that.
Some crazy school that, you know, nothing happens for. And then again, on day 2, we only had the 1 pick. You know, that's where the C comes from, because we traded away part of our day 2, you know, our day 2 to move up to the board to go after Olave. And the Saints really they made a trade again to go after Alontae Taylor, you know, cornerback from out of Tennessee, which was another guy that they had ranked up really high up there that maybe not all the other teams had, right? So, I mean, they made the moves how they had it on their board, and they made their targets and they went after it.
Yeah, because without a second-round pick, we had to do something. So
yeah, something else I was hearing on day 2, some safety got drafted, and you know, that was I don't remember who it was. I forgot the name, but the Saints had him. That's who they were going to go after. That's who they were going to target. And then he got picked before they went, so they went after Alontae Taylor, and that was where the segue for this is long and outwinded, but this is where we're going with it. Is that, you know, Dennis Allen turns to Mickey Loomis and says, "Go get me F and Tyrann Mathieu," you know, and 3 days later, you know, he's a Saint.
Honey Badger, baby.
So, I mean, you may not like the draft for the Saints, and no one does. Vegas hates the Saints right now. They have them picked, you know, 7 wins for the season, and I see the Saints
7
with 7.
Get
the over number is
here.
7. Yeah, I got 20 on the Saints beating 7 games this year. Just because I play small money, but I do it quite a bit, and the Saints are going to have more than 7 wins. They're way more talented than what people give them credit for.
I
The biggest
definitely heard Mary.
what laughing back there.
Yes.
The biggest issue the Saints have is the loss of Sean Payton, and people are giving that a lot of credence and how the Saints are going to react. And they're giving no love to Jameis Winston at all whatsoever.
No.
You know,
not to be fair, losing Sean Payton is kind of a big deal.
it is a big deal. It is. But Dennis Allen he's already had a team, and you can say what you want to say about that time with the Raiders. Yes, it was not great. But who at that time was having a good run with the Raiders, right? You had Al Davis running that team just like Jerry Jones does in Dallas, not giving him any, letting him give any input, picking the right players. I want to say in one of Dennis Allen's years, they drafted a wide receiver just because he had the fastest combine time. And the kid, he never did anything. I think he was like one and done. So it's like Dennis Allen is having input in what's happening with the team and players they're going after, right? And we keep stacking up on our defense, which is going to be our strong suit this year. No doubt. Saints had one of the top defenses last year, and we're going to continue that this year. But if you go look at their draft and look at what they've done in the undrafted free agency, right? Because this is where the Saints end up shining at. A lot of people forget that. Oh, the Saints, they had a bad draft. And that's completely fine. We got the players we needed. But where the Saints shine at is in the undrafted
free agency. Yeah, absolutely.
We
have found some gems, late round picks and UDFAs.
They got a running back out of Baylor who's in college. He only played running back for 1 year, but in that 1 year, he broke every single season rushing record that was at Baylor. Right? They guaranteed this kid $222,000 to come to sign with the Saints. Guess where he's at? He's with the Saints, which we need a running back because we're going to lose Kamara for a minimum 6 games, possibly 8. It's
going to be 6. It's going to be 2 or 3 less than. See, this is what I love about Deshaun Watson. Is every other suspension in the NFL is going to be less than Deshaun Watson by like a lot, like 3 games.
What's going to be Mark Ingram's status? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? Is Tony Jones Jr. going to be able to shake the concussions he had last year? So we needed to go get running backs, right? And we also got a few more receivers out of there. They got a receiver out of Nichols. They did a lot of hometown this year. Receiver out of Nichols. We went out. We got Tyrann Mathieu. We have in-state talent that we're actually utilizing this year with the undrafted free agency and even in the the undrafted and the free agency. So I think the Saints are poised to shock the league right now because they have them ranked so low that they're going to be that team that's going to shock the league this year.
Yep. Apparently, it's so shocking that they're going to be dancing jigs. I'm hearing the dancing jig music over there.
I'm sorry, Mary's watching Titanic in the other room.
Oh, well,
Spoiler alert: the boat sinks.
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Oh yeah, and there was room for Jack on that door.
There was room for like 3 people on that door.
But,
oh God.
The big news out of New Orleans right now is definitely Tyrann Mathieu. Coming home. He said it's the right time in his career. He spaced himself away from the trouble that he had when he was in college. He said all the right things in his press conference. He broke NFL Shop. He broke the website.
Yep.
People, as soon as he signed with the Saints, all of New Orleans decided to go on and buy a Tyrann Mathieu jersey. We don't even know what number he's going to be, but they won't ship until he picks a number. But this is a big deal for the Saints, and it's not like he's not a schlub. He's still a great safety with a lot left in the tank, and we get to see that now. So, in the black and gold, which is something we've been looking forward to. What was the old video? Honey Badger don't give a fuck.
Yep.
Something like that.
He doesn't care.
Yeah. So, That's what I got. I mean, the draft, yeah, for the Saints sucked, but they took care of what they needed. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yep. And
who's
yes,
another?
So there was definitely room for them both on the raft. I mean, on the door.
Yeah, I mean, they here they are playing Go Fish right down at the bottom right there.
Yeah, they could have totally done that.
If only he would have got down with a deck of cards, they could have played cards on the door. So
that's our pop culture. She could have saved him, but you know what? They wouldn't have won the Oscar otherwise.
There's a huge conspiracy theory saying that Leonardo DiCaprio didn't actually exist and that he was a figment of her imagination the whole time. So that could be why Jack didn't live.
Could be.
But,
of course, that would mean they let a crazy person to the Titanic.
Now we're talking about the Titanic.
Well,
that's what we do here. That's what
the Titanic.
That's what
the
we
Titanic.
Do here
so which? Okay, so let's segue this into something in football. Will there be a Titanic team this year that starts off good and just goes down?
Yes.
Who is that team?
There will be. I'm going to put my money on. I'm going to go with the Rams this year.
You're going to go with the Rams. Okay.
Yeah.
So Super Bowl high, and they just crash down.
I think they're going to start well, but I think the NFC West. Man, you know what? No, because I mean, the NFC West is a hot mess right now. With Debo trying to get out of San Francisco like he is, with the garbage that Kyler Murray stirring up, with Seattle not really doing anything. Starting Drew Lock at quarterback? No, so maybe not them. Man, a lot of this is going to have to do with injuries. Depends on who gets hurt, right?
I don't even think you need to do that. I think my Titanic team is Tennessee.
No, as long as Derrick Henry stays healthy, they're gonna run it through, and
I know, but that's the problem.
Keep going.
He's gonna. And okay, so this is another trading away AJ Brown. Okay.
Yeah.
I've listened to takes on both sides of this. I think the Eagles got a steal.
Okay.
Tennessee with the pick, they ended up picking
a receiver.
Yeah, Treylon Brooks out of Arkansas. Now, the gist of the analysis is he's another version of AJ Brown, same skill set. Okay.
Okay. But at a much cheaper price tag.
At a cheaper price tag.
Because if you haven't been paying attention, if you haven't been paying attention in the NFL, apparently receiver is the new quarterback. They're giving those guys.
Thank you, Christian Kirk.
They're backing up armored cars for them right now.
And the question is it even
Jacksonville? Worth it? Jacksonville's the one who did it.
Mm-hmm. With
they definitely 1,000% overpaid Christian Kirk. They
which
overpaid
led
him.
to
he's not worth that much.
Giant contracts for Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. And now
Tyreek Hill, and now AJ Brown, and now Hollywood Brown. All those teams. We were sitting there on draft day and we're questioning AJ Brown. Really, they just traded him away. But when you think about it, that's not the strength of the Titans team. The Titans' strength is the running game. With the occasional pass. So
yeah, well, they're not gonna. They need to. And look, I'm not. I am not a Ryan Tannehill fan.
No,
He's not going to win you a Super Bowl. Okay. That's just
No, but Derrick Henry will.
and he's being a dick about Malik Willis. He's like, I don't have to teach him anything.
Dude, have you ever thought about, like, if I I'm not going to train somebody to replace me. I mean, Aaron Rodgers did
business. That's the business.
You know, Brett Favre did it to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did it. Did Tom Brady leave anybody in New England? No, he just up and left. Did Drew Brees really give any training to Jameis Winston at all? Maybe because Drew knew he was done, knew that Jameis wasn't going to replace him, but he knew he was done. But I mean, you're not going to get somebody to train their replacement like that. I mean, that's just not how that works. That's not reality.
He's okay, but what are you telling me, that Ryan Tannehill is in the caliber of those guys you just mentioned?
Not by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's garbage. I mean, I would rather have Baker Mayfield. Ryan Tannehill's done enough to still be a starting quarterback in the league. Right.
But he's nowhere near the top.
Just enough. He's on the bottom half, but he slides under the radar because of Derrick Henry's ability.
Right. But he's not being tested because of Derrick Henry. If it wasn't for Derrick Henry, he would have gotten fired 2 years ago.
But I mean, he doesn't have to. I mean, the same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo, right?
And it's the thing with A.J. Brown, right? Like, how? I mean, I'm looking at Philly's draft, right? I mean, PQRS. There we go. I mean, they got Jordan Davis, defensive tackle, to help Fletcher Cox. Maybe eventually replace him. And the guy's been in the league for a long time. I think he's 32 or 33. Still one of the best defensive players in the NFL by a long shot. You get another center, you get two more linebackers and a tight end. And I mean, bam, the Eagles have reloaded. And then of course you get A.J. Brown. So now you've got, let's see. Let me look at that depth chart real quick.
The Eagles may have been able to win the NFC East with the A.J. Brown acquisition, right? With the way that they drafted, getting A.J. Brown, that may be enough to propel them to finally win this division, take it away from Dallas, so Dallas doesn't have to lose in the first round of the playoffs anymore, right? The Eagles can do it. Let's
not forget, Devonta Smith broke the rookie. No, he didn't. But he had a shitload of receptions last year. He had 64 receptions on 104 targets last year.
But I mean, we're talking about Ryan Tannehill being the weakness of
I was thinking about that catch from
Tennessee.
Jalen Waddle.
Are they even? I mean, are the Eagles in a much better position with their quarterback?
Yes. Jalen Hurts is better than Ryan Tannehill.
By how much?
Square.
You think Jalen Hurts is going to lead them to a Super Bowl?
I think Jalen Hurts will get them at least past the first round of the playoffs.
No, I don't think so.
He doesn't need Derrick Henry to carry that team. Without Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill doesn't get to the playoffs.
Okay.
And I mean,
but let's look at it this way. If I'm a coach and I'm on a team and I have a player the caliber of Derrick Henry, I'm going to ride that back all the way.
Yes.
I mean, it's not Vrabel being stupid. That's Vrabel doing his job. That's exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, but you're one-dimensional. You can't rely on Derrick Henry to be that physical freak.
That one-dimensional has brought him deep into the playoffs for the past 2 seasons.
I agree. But you're not going to –
I mean, maybe if they went after a different quarterback and they got a little bit better quarterback play, maybe they could –
But without A.J. Brown now, you can put 9 in the box.
Yeah, but they always did. I mean, A.J. Brown went from getting overthrown by Ryan Tannehill to being overthrown by the guy in Philly. I can't think of his name right now.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I wanted to say Jordan Love, and I knew that was completely wrong.
That's
But-
definitely Green Bay.
So I mean, he's gonna be either overthrown or underthrown by Jalen Hurts, same as he was over and underthrown by Ryan Tannehill. I mean, you're talking about two quarterbacks who, yes, maybe Hurts is a little bit better, but it's not that big of a gap. You know, it's not that big of a gap.
Yeah. I think it's bigger than. I think you have the difference between a guy who can help take you to the playoffs and a guy who won't. He won't be the determining factor in your success. In Ryan Tannehill, and that's nothing. You know,
He doesn't have to be.
But your quarterback should.
Tennessee's gonna run right on back into the playoffs. It's old school football. I mean, that's what my favorite word going on.
But so do the Colts. The Colts have a great running back too, and Jonathan
Colts,
Taylor.
The Colts are actually in a fantastic position right now.
They're going to win that division.
They're going to win the division.
Yes.
And you can say what you want about Matt Ryan, you know, as former Falcons quarterback. You can say what you want to say about it. Matt Ryan still got a lot left in the tank, and he's going to take the Colts to the playoffs, possibly to the AFC Championship game against one of the three AFC West teams.
I don't know what the hell to make of the AFC, but I mean, Matt Ryan is just and I mean, look, you traded AJ Brown for a higher first round pick and a third round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the price was cheap, which is why I think Philly made out on the better end of that deal. Yeah. And Devonta Smith isn't ready to be a number one yet, but he can be.
He doesn't have to be right now. Just
like in Miami, Jalen Waddle could easily be a number one in the NFL.
He doesn't have to be. He has Tyreek Hill.
He doesn't have to be now.
You know,
and it's going to let him become the Juju Smith-Schuster to Antonio Brown.
I keep forgetting about Miami. Like, I just keep forgetting that they exist because we're so used to them just not existing. For them just being just bottom of the barrel. And now, like, with the emergence of Jalen Waddle last year, them getting Tyreek Hill, you know, they have a pretty decent defense. Their weakest spot on their team is still going to be Tua.
Yeah.
You know, that's a team that I could see trading for Baker Mayfield and turning it around and winning with Baker. You know,
I mean, Chase Edmonds and your running back. You got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Mike Gesicki is your tight end. He's solid. I mean, you got you got Teron Armstead. Whether he plays or not is the question, of course.
Yeah, that offense is stacked. I mean,
it's very good team. Very good team. You got Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, and Myles Gaskin.
And then they're going to be going up against in the AFC East against Buffalo.
Yeah.
They're no slouch either. I mean,
Buffalo, after this draft, I think Buffalo may be the best team in the NFL.
I mean, look, if you're fans of an NFC team, any team in the NFC, it's going to be a long time before you got a chance to actually do something. I mean, they may win a Super Bowl here and there, but it's going to be on the.
Well, that's where I think the Packers and, you know, Rodgers sticking around. But I mean, look, he's still got Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, but he's down to Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, and Randall Cobb, who's way past his prime, but he's still going to be a possession receiver who's going to get you those crucial short yardage situation because it's somebody Rodgers trusts.
Yeah, that's the weekend of the Packers right now.
And look, Robert Tonyan year before last, he had like 10 touchdowns or some obscene number like that in his rookie season, and he got a lot of attention from that. But he's got that potential to do that again. You know,
yeah.
It just, I think everyone's still reeling from the Devontae Adams loss, and that's best receiver in the league, right? That's a huge
but
loss.
I mean, the Bears had a fantastic draft. They got rid of Matt Nagy. You know, that's their biggest weight That was their biggest anchor. Like people want to give
Yeah.
crap to Mitchell Trubisky, but honestly, he's been very effective as a quarterback. A little stat I heard today that I didn't know: he's the only active quarterback in the NFL to not have a pick six thrown. Right, so he's very careful with the ball. He doesn't turn it over. He's effective with it. Yes, it might be dink and dunk passes, but I mean it's effective. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, look, you got
And that might
Justin
be
Fields.
exactly what Pittsburgh needs right now is a quarterback like that. I mean,
Yep.
they did what they did with Ben Roethlisberger, and that was basically dinking and dunking. And Trubisky can stretch the field if he needs to.
What made Roethlisberger different, though, was he had a cannon and he was a tank.
Yeah,
Like,
but
just a tank.
I'm just saying Pittsburgh might be a dark horse in their division.
It
that
is, but
we're just overlooking right now because we still have this stank on Mitch Trubisky.
But
you
I
know,
think
because of what happened in
that
Chicago.
division, though, I think the Browns are way more poised to have problems.
fail?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
They're way more Titanic risk than anything else.
Yeah, I said that already. I mean, and you can say what you want about Deshaun Watson, but I mean, to anchor your team to that one player for that long, for that amount of money, you're going to have problems.
I like
going
this
to catch
Bears
up with
team
you.
the more I look at it. Jeez.
You know, the Bears might be a dark horse in that division, like I said, because they were able to get rid of Matt Nagy, and I think he was their biggest hold.
I'm excited about Detroit, just because I would like to watch them last year, and I'm gonna enjoy watching them this year.
Yeah.
Just because, you know.
You're looking at a team where the players will do anything for a coach, and that's that.
Yes. And look, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got DJ Chark. They pulled him in, right? Jamison Williams, not a bad receiver. Hawkinson's a great tight end. Defensively, you know, they are pretty good. They got Michael Brockers, you know, when they pulled him in from Los Angeles to anchor that on the tackle side. You know, it's just –
yeah, their biggest catch on Detroit is Jared Goff, and once again, your Baker Mayfield will move before the beginning of the actual season.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be to where he ends up at, you know. And like I said, those candidates to me are Atlanta, Miami. I'm not saying Detroit's not a landing spot because that's a definite possibility. And you may still see that happen in Pittsburgh because they may not be sold on Mitch Trubisky. So to me, those are the top 4 teams for the landing spot for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what happens with Baker. I have a feeling it's going to be some other ridiculous thing because that team and ridiculous have just followed each other this year.
What, Cleveland? Yeah.
Constant. Yeah.
I mean, they out Cleveland Brown themselves. You know, we didn't think it was possible, but they found a way to out Cleveland Brown themselves.
Is Stefanski's a great coach? Like, how did you know?
I don't know I don't know. Maybe it's smoke and mirrors. Maybe they just added so much talent to that team to where he couldn't fail.
Yeah.
You know, for that 1 year, and then, I mean, Baker goes down with injury. You lose Jarvis Landry for a number of games.
But they were in it. They were still in it.
Odell Beckham's out for a number of games.
Yep.
You know, and they took all of these problems that this team had and they said, oh, that was Baker Mayfield's fault. You know, and that was the first. I mean, not Matt Nagy. Listen to me. Stefanski took no responsibility at all. It was all pushed on Baker. Everything was pushed on Baker. The fan base started it, so why not roll with it? You know, if you can slide under the radar of being a crappy coach because everybody wants to blame this one player, go with it. Buy yourself another 2 years before you get fired. You know, I mean, that, like I said, I think the Browns out-Brown themselves this year. And I think it's going to be a team that was looking up on the rise, I think, is going to fall down hard. And that's with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback.
Yeah, to me that is another team that just has a Titanic written all over it. If you can't pull it together, it's just going to be
Yeah,
a
but I
lost season.
don't even see him starting off well because I don't think they're going to get Deshaun Watson for this season, right? I think his suspension is going to come this season.
There is
And
no
or
way.
no. Hold on.
There
Not
is
this season. I
no
forgot.
way.
His suspension is going to come next year because they pushed all his court dates back that he still had available that was still going on. So his suspension is not going to come till next year, unless
I hope that Stefanski is ready to deal with max contract.
he's going to have to be a coach. He's going to have to be the guy. He's going to have to step up and be like, okay, it's my fault. And like I said, he didn't do that with Baker. The fan base made Baker Mayfield the scapegoat, and they rode with it. And they put such a stank on his name that no one wants to draft. No one wants to trade for him, right? Because you don't want to pick that contract up. They put such a huge contract on him, which is fine because I think he actually earned that. But nobody wants to go in now because all they did was badmouth him for the last 6 months, saying how bad he is. You think a team wants to pick up that sizable contract for a quarterback that you told us was that bad? I mean, like I said, they out-browned themselves.
Yeah. I'm still not a fan of this max contract shit. I don't think that's going to be healthy for the league. And I think fewer quarterbacks are going to get that going forward because I think everyone realizes how stupid this was.
Well, there's a bubble, and it's going to bust. And you're going to see teams like Kansas City who's paying Pat Mahomes like this. You're going to see teams like Deshaun Watson who's paying, the Browns who are paying Deshaun Watson. These contracts that were doled out for these receivers, in Miami and Arizona, wherever else they landed at. I can't remember them all because there were so many that moved around. Those teams are going to suffer because you can't put that much money invested into one player.
Yeah,
And
it's good. The market's going to correct itself.
And looking at it now, like when we were talking about Michael Thomas's contract with the Saints, that was a huge contract for a receiver. That's peanuts compared to what everybody else is being paid right now.
Yeah. We knew Drew was going to get a big contract, but then here comes Joe Flacco getting way overpaid for winning a Super Bowl.
But like I said, that bubble does bust at some point and those teams fall. So Baltimore overpaid Joe Flacco, and what happened? They never made it back there. Not with Joe Flacco. They had to trade him off, get rid of him.
Like 2 years later, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be you gotta teams need to wait it out. Teams like the Saints, the Lions, the Bears, these up and coming teams that we're looking at now, and I'm adding the Saints into that too because they are an up and coming team after losing Sean Payton, Drew Brees back-to-back years. The unknown with the quarterback situation. Like I think Jameis is going to be solid, but I could be completely wrong on that. But losing that and then having to play on like this, I mean, you're an up-and-coming team at this point. But I think the Saints are going to be a shocker. I think the Lions are going to shock people. And I think the Bears are going to shock people this year.
Yeah. All of that is very possible.
I'm not saying playoffs for all three of those teams, but one of them is going to make it. And they're going to sneak in, if not two of them. Because of the extra wild card spot. And I really don't see anyone in the NFC stepping up like that this year. Like, I don't know. It's such a weak division compared to the AFC that it's going to be hard to figure out.
Way stronger.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been a good show.
I really got nothing left because we talked about a lot. And we talked about nothing. And the Titanic.
And the Titanic.
But
spoiler alert, people die.
Boat sinks, people die, and Jack could fit on the door.
Yes.
That's the Titanic summed up in 3 points.
That's it.
But all right, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. If you paid attention, if you like what you see, if you catch us on the replay, which I hope you do, like, share, subscribe to us on any of the platforms. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the good podcast places. If you don't want to see our faces, and I don't blame you for that, we'll be up on Facebook, Google, the main place to go get your podcast. So, like us, share us, tell your friends, and that's it. Deuces.